A town hall in Wisconsin did not go very well for Republican Representative Bryan Steil.
Why are they wearing masks and why are they unidentified?
We'll probably agree to disagree on some of my answer here, but what I view is the moral hazard created by the Biden administration by allowing the U.S.-Mexico border to remain insecure. And so, it's completely fine that we disagree. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing on the topic. President Biden had a different view than I did on the importance of securing the U.S.-Mexico border. But as millions of illegal immigrants came into the United States and there was a lack of action by the federal government, you're now seeing that action take place with the removal particularly of individuals who are in the country illegally.
I am so disappointed. I am so disappointed in how you represent us as the citizens of Walworth County. Southeast Wisconsin has not been represented by you. President Trump seems to run Southeast Wisconsin through you. And all I have to ask is I will be out there working hard if you choose to run for any office.
I don't think you're the right fit for us anymore. I just think it's time to go. You just don't relate to most of us anymore, and you got to know when to step down. I think it's time.
Oh, damn. Okay. Look, before I get into more of the criticism of Mr. Steil, I do want to address the ICE stuff, okay? The moral hazard of the Biden administration, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that was all BS, okay? No, Joe Biden did not allow millions of illegal immigrants to flood over the border. That's a lie. This guy's lying, okay? Using, Trump administration talking points. None of that's true. None of that's true. Biden actually deported more people. Okay. Yes, Biden deported more people. He was tough on immigration, but he actually deported more criminals. Whereas the Trump regime, they're just deporting anybody. Okay. They're just, you got ICE rolling around all, basically all Gestapo-like. All right. And just, getting anybody who looks Hispanic. That's really it. Okay, that's the reality of the situation. But look, the response here is why Republicans were warned not to do town halls. I remember that because earlier this year, they were doing town halls and they were facing some pretty hostile crowds. In fact, a lot of them started saying, the agitators, Democrat agitators paying people to be in the crowds. Okay, yeah, so you're saying that Democrats are paying people to show up in BFE, Iowa, okay, in the middle of nowhere to yell at Republicans. What planet are you on? What planet are you on? Because it ain't Earth. Okay, it's nowhere near Earth. Okay, nowhere near reality. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, this is exactly the reaction that they're not exactly in favor of. Okay, in fact, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel noted that before that town hall even started, there was a group of 50 demonstrators that had gathered outside of the venue, which was a high school, to protest Steil's vote for Trump's big nasty bill, which they said slashed Medicaid and food assistance, which is true. I mean, they did massive deep cuts to Medicaid and to the food stamp program. also that they could, fund tax cuts for rich people. That's what's going on here. Wisconsin health officials previously estimated that the legislation could cause tens of thousands of Wisconsinites to lose their Medicaid coverage. Remember, these are people who work, okay? There are people who work that do not make enough to be able to buy health insurance, but they work, so they go and they get on Medicaid, and these cuts will absolutely devastate these people. That's the reality, okay? Now, that said, does this guy care? Apparently not. Apparently not. No. What he only cares about, and this is one of the big problems with the Republican Party of today, he only cares about not angering Donald Trump because they are a cult of personality. They have built that around him, and you've got a lot of people that are very, very wary of angering the man-child because he has that cult. Now, the thing is, there is no, and this is what I don't like, right? You still have pundits out there that are like, oh, MAGA Republicans and normal Republicans. No, they're all MAGA. That's who the Republican Party is now. Okay? They are a cult. Period. That said, they're still less than a third of the country, and you know what? They are shrinking fast. Turns out, nowadays, according to new polling, more people are now affiliating with the Democratic Party than before, whereas Republicans are losing people affiliating with the Republican Party. Now, the amazing thing about this, right, is that it's happening at a time where the Democrats are also really unpopular. Look, the Republicans are unpopular. Donald Trump's really unpopular, but so are the Democrats. It's a pox on both your houses, okay? And of course, there are reasons, right? People do not trust the Democrats can handle the country's top issues. In fact, the Democratic Party's 34% favorable rating is the lowest Gallup has measured for the group in its trend dating back to 1992. The prior low was 36% in November of 2014. I remember that time. I was doing the show at the time. And this is when they got, quote unquote, shellacked in the midterms. Okay? They lost the majority in the Senate in the midterm, which gave the Republican Party control of both houses of Congress. And they immediately went to work blocking everything. Okay? Oh, and look, they were blocking everything before, to be fair, but they were doing even more blocking. Okay, the most amount of tremendous blocking. The best blocking. All right, so, but, okay, what does that mean? Okay, affiliation, and how is that possible, right? Well, for one, you got to note that the number of left-leaning independents has actually increased by about 4%. So that's why. They're not identifying as Democrats, per se. And there are reasons for that. A few different reasons. For one, you're not going to have these independents that are going to identify as Democrats because right now you have a lot of people that are looking at the Democrats and being like, what the hell are you doing for us? Okay? Look, the Democratic base and independents are not happy. They're pissed off at their politicians for refusing to put up any sort of meaningful resistance to Donald Trump. They haven't done anything. Okay? They've sent strongly worded letters, which Trump will use for toilet paper. Okay? That's really it. He does not care.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
You know why? Because of all the strongly worded letters that Trump is shoving in the toilet. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a damn. And so, with that resistance going on, people are looking at the Democrats and saying, well, you guys are weak. You guys are pathetic. Why am I going to throw in my lot with you? And then, of course, you've got Republican messaging that's everywhere. They're all on the bro podcasts and all that. Now, the Democrats, they still won't leave their cable news bubble. I mean, they don't go on small podcasts. They don't go on YouTube channels. I'm just saying they don't. And that's because they're afraid of being asked tough questions by people like myself. Yeah. And so they're not getting out their message, but they don't even have a message. Unless you're somebody like Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani actually did have a message. He does have a message. And he says, I'm going to help average New Yorkers. I'm going to lower your grocery bills. You know, I'm going to help out. I'm going to make busing, you know, public transportation. I'm going to make that free. I'm going to help with you with your rent. I'm going to freeze the rents. Okay. We're actually going to do things to help average people and not just rich people. And you know, the establishment can't seem to figure out how is Mamdani beating Cuomo? But it's Cuomo. It's Andrew Cuomo. He's the son of Mario Cuomo. It's a dynasty. You must vote for him. Blue no matter who. Blue no matter who. Except for Zohran Mamdani, because he's a socialist. I mean, they're just going after that guy, and it's ineffective. Because he's crushing them. He's crushing in the polls. And that's it. And so, look, they don't get out their message, and when they do, that message sucks. Okay, it's like, oh, you know, we're gonna do very, very tightly means-tested programs that maybe will help a few people. Will marginally help you just a little bit if the Republicans let us. Oh, the Republicans didn't let us. Oh, the parliamentarian didn't let us do this. So I guess we can't do that. Whereas you've got Republicans that are stomping all over all of that. Over everyone to get their Project 2025 BS done. You have Trump that is ignoring about a third of all court decisions. That's it. That's what he's just ignoring decisions that he doesn't like. So that's the other thing, right? The Democratic establishment won't fight, and they back extremely unpopular people. And the reason they do that is because they're paid to lose. They're paid by their donors to lose, the owner donors. That's the big problem. And look, the Democratic establishment constantly kicks progressives in the teeth. And yet, they're wondering, oh, why do we keep losing to these a-holes, to these crazy people? I mean, we keep pointing out, oh, man, these guys are crazy. Oh, wow, they suck. I mean, oh, they're nuts. Don't vote for me. Okay, but what are you going to do for us? And Republicans, they'll lie about everything. They already do lie about it. Trump lied about lowering your cost of groceries, and he didn't. So there it is. Okay? Look, my point is, Democrats are unpopular for those reasons. But Republicans are also really unpopular. Why? Because their policies are terrible. Their policies don't help anyone except for the rich. Look, at the end of the day, people like progressive policy. Yet you have Democrats that continue to push back against progressive policies. And they continue to try to appeal to Republican voters. And it never works. It never works. And, you know, while people hate the Republican policies, guess what? They just keep winning because their messaging is better. And the fact that Democrats are weak and feckless. And that's why they haven't been able to take advantage of the fact that the majority of people right now are just not on board with Republicans. How many more of these town halls do we have to see play out the same way before Democratic politicians finally get up off their asses and start trying to stand for something other than supporting, you know, Republican immigration policy, anti-trans rhetoric, as we saw with, unfortunately, with Gavin Newsom and Pete Buttigieg. I mean, and maybe they should actually try to copy the people who are doing well and standing for something like Mamdani. Look, I think that unless Democratic leadership, the same leadership that cost us 2 elections against this clown, either they step down or they get forced out, I think nothing will change. And Republicans will continue winning because despite all of this, they still have the messaging and they still have their cultish, slavish followers. And that's something, obviously, that the Democrats do not have. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.